Hi there, it's Simon again here for another installment of our Vizwik Friday video, and today I'm going to cover drawing on a canvas. And so I've got the canvas library open here, and we're going to talk about how a canvas works. So canvas is a object that you find in the views panel here. You can just grab one of these and drop it in, and you can have multiple canvases on the screen at the same time. That's okay. Each canvas is basically a drawing layer that allows you to draw graphics into the canvas in a kind of a free-form way, but using our operators as well. So I've already have a canvas here set up inside of the view, and you can see over here I have it set up as well. And I'm going to show you how to use the operators inside of the canvas to do this. So the first thing I've got is a clear button. You'll probably want to do that to do this experimentation. And here's my clear script. Now what it is, it's basically the canvas, so I can delete this and show you how I created that. I grab the canvas and drop it in, and then I can connect it to all of these different operations that do things. The first thing is to clear the canvas. So clear canvas is pretty straightforward. You just pass in the canvas and it clears it, and then from there you can do other things and continue setting all these properties. The canvas has a bunch of properties that we're going to talk about. The first of which is its size, and let's talk about how that size actually works. So I'm going to go over here. I've enabled the canvas that we're using in the view to be touchable, which allows me to draw into it using the mouse, and I can do that. You can see here I'm going to draw a little circle. There you go. And the canvas has a coordinate system, which means that it has X and Y coordinates that I can reference as to where I'm going to draw. And if I draw a line pointing in this direction here, you can see that if I go there, this is an arrow pointing, kind of crude, an arrow pointing to this top corner, and this is where we find the coordinates 0, 0 for X and Y. If I start moving down in this direction here as I'm drawing, this is in the Y direction, and it goes down that way. And this will give you, this is the Y direction, and the total number at the bottom here will give you the height of the canvas, the H. If I go in this direction here and draw an arrow in this direction, this is the X direction, okay, and this will give me the width. I'm trying to draw this with my mouse, it's kind of weird. And that's the width of the canvas. And so we're going to draw things starting from the center. And so to do that, I need a line that cuts through here and a line that cuts through here. And this is going to be half the width, half the height, and half the width, and that will be what this point is here. So that's what we have as a coordinate system of points, okay? And as you move out from this corner down into this corner, you're increasing the X and the Y coordinates. But there's a point system. There's also a rotation of the canvas. Starting off on this axis here, the rotation is 0, it's set to 0 at this point, and then the rotation goes clockwise in this direction to rotate anything that you want to draw. All right, so let's take a look back here at our clear canvas thing. We're going to get the size of the canvas, which is the width and the height, and if I show you that, you can see the width and the height coming out, and we divide each one by 2, and then we're going to save it to these variables, width 0 and height 0, which is the center point of the canvas. And then I'm going to set the pen location, and then the canvas continues coming down, and I set the line color to blue, and then I'm going to set the rotation to 0 because we're going to be rotating during our drawing, and we want to reset it always back to 0 when we start off. This Mario 50 here, I'll show you what that is in a minute, so don't worry about that. All right, so let's create a script that actually draws. So I'm going to create a draw script. Here we go. And I'm going to use the canvas. So I drop the canvas in here. And I'm going to draw, starting off with drawing forward. And what that's going to do is I'm going to tell it to draw, starting on where I am, 20 pixels to forward. And what does forward mean? Well, let's figure that out by dropping the script onto the canvas. And when I tap, it'll call the draw method. So let's reload here. And when I click once, what did it do? It drew across at the 0 degrees 20 pixels, a line, because the canvas had been set to this point. The pen had been set to the 0 point, or the middle point of the canvas. If I click again, it's going to keep drawing and keep drawing. Every time it draws from wherever it left off. So whenever I draw forward, it moves the pen a certain 20 pixels. And then if I ask it to draw again, another 20 pixels, start from where I left off and keep going. We can move the pen without drawing, which is called move forward. And I can use the same code that I have here and move forward 20 pixels and draw forward 20 pixels and alternate that. So what do you think that'll do? Well, first it'll draw, then it'll move, and then draw. So now it's actually drawn 20 pixels and then moved 20 pixels, drawn 20 pixels and moved, and now it's going to start drawing probably from right around here. There it goes, and do that. Now we're going to also do something a little bit more interesting, which is now we want to draw in a rotational way. Okay, so let's rotate. Instead of drawing, let's rotate by changing the rotation. And we can do that with another method, another script called, down here, turn clockwise. So let's just use the one I have here, turn clockwise. And what that'll do, let's reload here, and I can click once, turn clockwise, and turn clockwise, and turn clockwise. You see it's turning 20 degrees each time. Well, let's make a square. We're going to rotate 90 degrees, and I'm going to do this, and click, boink, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Now, that's drawing a square. If I keep going, it just keeps drawing over top of it like that, okay? Now, if I have something that's a little bit longer and change the angles, say 60, and do that, when I do my drawing, you'll notice that it's getting, look at that, I can draw a different shape based on 60 degrees. And if I had 45 degrees, okay, let's make this a little bit bigger by creating a longer line, I can draw a different object. There we go, 45 degrees. What's that going to do? It's going to draw us a stop sign. Look at that. So because 45 is divided into 360 degrees, which is the full circle, 8 times, and that's how you get your 8 sides to this. Now let's use a number that's not divisible by 360, something like 66, and draw that. And if I reload here and draw, what's that going to draw? Well, look, it's not actually drawing and reaching the starting point again. And now if I keep going, you see it actually did, but it's getting to create a different kind of shape. This is kind of like what you see on those spirograph things. And if I do something like 70 degrees here, you'll see one that is a bit more spirography here, because the angle is actually quite different and doesn't reach the same angle until you get back to the quite a few clicks here. Here you go. And you notice I've got little Mario showing up here. Well, he's showing up on double clicks, so we'll talk about how we did that in a minute. So there you go. We kind of got a bit of a spirograph thing happening there. Now, what we can also do is, I'm going to talk about this button here, spiral. Look at that. Wow, boom. What did that do? Well, if we go to this spiral method here, what we have is a loop, and we're actually changing the angle clockwise by 40 degrees. And we've got a variable that is being added to two pixels every time, and then drawing it at a variable amount. So if I turn on the debugger here and reload, you'll see how this actually works. If I click spiral, we're going to breakpoint in here, and I'm going to show you how this, if I click to each next breakpoint, you'll see this loop starting to draw, and it's increasing in size each time and changing a certain number of degrees, and now it's going to spiral around. So we can do some pretty cool stuff algorithmically by changing the value of that. So let's clear that and change this value here. We can now, let's say I go this to 20. Okay, we're going to change the degrees again. Okay, now we've got something that looks more like, a shell, actually. You can do all kinds of stuff as well. Here, let's change this degrees to 20 as well. And now I've got a circle. I can change the degrees. If I had that 70 again and tried this at 40, this would go back to what we were looking at before. And then I've got my spirograph that I created. And again, if we do some interesting things by changing the value that's coming in and increasing it by a certain amount, you can then create some really interesting patterns like that one with different degrees. And you can increase the number. So let's say I want to do this 100 times and reload here, and then boom, you've got really cool patterns coming up and so forth. So algorithmically, using a loop and the canvas, you can draw some pretty interesting things. It kind of looks like a organic shape there. Now, one other thing we want to do is learn about how to set the images draw images. And here I've got a canvas image here. So I'm going to reload here, and if I double click, you see this is drawing it's drawing Super Mario here. Let me take the other script off here so it doesn't do the drawing. And you can see that Mr. Mario is drawing every time I double click, and I'm offsetting him by a few pixels here. So I've saved the original location of him, and then I'm adding 5 pixels, and I'm drawing each time I double click. And so you can see that when you draw something like an image, which is what this is, it's drawing an image using an icon that I got from the media panel here. There's our little Mario dude. And then I can use the canvas to do that. So in order to make it look like he's moving, I'm going to need to add a clear canvas operator. And I can do that before and after, or before I draw Mario. And now if I double click here and reload, there you go. Now every time I do it, he's actually moving. And so you can do kind of animation with that. There you go, he's moving like quite a bit. One other thing is that the canvas allows you to change its color. So I can change the color of the canvas to be, say, I don't know, yellow color. And then you can create your game space like that. And so you've got a game. You can also, if you had a background on the view as well, and so select the view here, and change the view to some other background, you can now see that the buttons down here, you can see the view behind, but I can't see it on the canvas, right? Because the canvas has actually disappeared. So I can now thankfully create a transparent view like that, and then you can there's actually a view here, and there it is. See, Mr. Mario is moving across the background, and if I click on our spiral, you can see it's drawing, and then you can see through the canvas to the background. So you can have a different background for your game, and then have other things drawing on top of it without changing the background as well. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff in the canvas. Doing the rotation, you can have fill colors, you can move, do lines, draw circles, draw rectangles, and draw points and all that kind of stuff. So check out the drawing canvas library and have some fun and enjoy playing with Vizwik.